All right, today we're going to talk about a really cool open source tool that's all about taking back control of your internet experience. So let's just dive right in.
But, before we get into the what, let's talk about the why. Why would you even need a tool like this? Well, it really all boils down to the everyday frustrations we all face on the modern web. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're just trying to read an article, maybe watch a video, and bam, you're ambushed by pop-ups, videos that start playing on their own, and these massive banners that slow everything down to a crawl. It feels like this constant battle for your attention and your bandwidth. And it's not just the ads that you can see. The really spooky stuff is what you can't see. I'm talking about those invisible trackers just following you around from site to site, building this huge profile of all your habits. And that raises some pretty serious questions about privacy, doesn't it? Like, how much of our digital lives are we really comfortable sharing? So on top of all that, sometimes the very information you're looking for, for work or school or just plain curiosity, is just out of reach. So you've got this mix of clutter, tracking, and all these restrictions, and that pretty much sums up the modern and, let's be honest, often super frustrating web experience. Okay, so what's the answer? Well, for a pretty big and growing community of iOS users, the solution comes in the form of a really powerful, community-driven project. It's hosted over on GitHub, and it's called the Shadowrocket-ADBlock-Rules-Forever repository. Basically, it's a whole set of tools for an iOS app called Shadowrocket. A good way to think about it is that the app is like the engine, right? And these rules that the community built, that's the navigation system you load into it. And you can tell it's popular. I mean, it is really popular. It's got over 20,000 stars on GitHub. So that tells you right away that this collection of rules is hitting on a real need people have. This is not some little niche tool. It's a solution that a huge, active community really trusts. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. At the heart of this whole system are these things called rule files. And the absolute best way to think of a rule file is to imagine it's like a customs agent for your internet connection. Seriously, it's just a simple text file full of instructions that you pop into the Shadowrocket app. And from then on, it inspects all of your traffic and decides what gets blocked, what can go straight through, and what needs to be routed some other way. All right, so let's see how this actually works in practice, because this is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. The system gives you different strategies you can choose from, and it all depends on what you're trying to do. So it really boils down to two main philosophies. First, you've got the blacklist approach. This one is all about trust. It blocks a specific list of known bad sites, ad servers, problem sites, and then it just lets everything else through. Then you have the whitelist approach, which is way more cautious. It only lets you access a specific list of known good sites, and it blocks everything else by default. So, yeah, two totally different ways to get that control. And this variety of pre-made rules, that's honestly one of its biggest strengths. It doesn't matter who you are. Maybe you're a general user who just wants to block ads and get to sites that are normally blocked by filters, like the Great Firewall of China. Or maybe you're living overseas and you want to connect to services back home. Or hey, maybe you just want a really, really good ad blocker. No matter what, there's a specific rule file that's already tailored for what you need. The creators were smart too. They totally get that the internet is changing all the time. A rule that works perfectly today might be totally useless tomorrow. So what did they do? They built this super simple automation using an iOS shortcut. All you do is install it, pick a time for it to run, and boom, it handles all the updates for you automatically. And this thing is constantly evolving. It's not static. Every single morning at 8 AM Beijing Time, all the rules are completely rebuilt from scratch. They pull in all the latest data from sources like the GFWList, which is this huge community-run list of blocked sites, and a bunch of different ad blocking lists. This makes sure that the rules stay as effective as they possibly can be. But here's the thing. This whole project is about so much more than just lines of code and text files. The author actually included a section on the GitHub page that gets into a really deep philosophy about information and our responsibility as users. It's a really powerful warning. The author says, look, while tools like this can open up the internet, they also take down barriers that were there to protect us. It's a call to action, really, urging all of us to keep our ability to think for ourselves, to be skeptical, and to be super wary of misinformation and manipulation online. And that same principled way of thinking, it applies to the project itself. When they explain why they don't take any donations, the creator just says it plain and simple. Freely accessing the internet is a right. No one should have to pay extra for it.
Instead of money, what they ask for is for users to help out by reporting issues and making the rules even better.
So when you kind of step back and look at the whole thing, you realize this isn't just another utility on your phone. It really represents a much bigger picture about how we all interact with technology today.
At its core, it's about empowering you, the user, putting control right back in your hands. It's a perfect example of the power of open source, building on the work of others and then sharing it freely with the community. And this isn't just about making things a little easier, it's a real statement about digital autonomy. It's all driven by a super clear purpose, just like the author says, to make study and work more convenient. Ultimately, a project like this leaves us with a really critical question, doesn't it? Our digital world is getting more and more complex, more and more controlled by massive corporations and platforms. But tools like this prove that individuals and communities can still have a say. It really makes you stop and wonder, who do you want writing the rules for your internet?